Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Iconic Dollcast. My name is Sage, your host. Welcome back to another episode all about dolls. Today, we are talking about Sailor Moon with Rhett, and Rhett is a big Sailor Moon fan and collector who actually works in anime overdubbing, which I just think is so cool. So I'm very excited to get into this. Sailor Moon has definitely been one of my most requested episodes since I started the podcast, and I'm so happy I found Rhett to talk about her with. But before we get into that, just some doll updates. You guys, I have had sort of an unlucky kickoff to the month for me when it comes to dolls. First, I found out that my American Girl Barbie has been placed on back order, which is such a bummer. You know, I've been talking about this doll for like a year now, almost a year at least. And I ordered it right when it dropped. And it seems like, just based on what I've seen, a lot of the people who ordered it through American Girl's pre-order system or whatever, they are starting to get theirs, but I ordered mine through Mattel Creations, and it does seem like pretty much everyone that I've talked to, their doll has been placed on back order till December 2nd as well, which is just, you know, I get that these things happen, but I ordered this doll like a year ago, and it said guaranteed shipping by November 30th, and I know December 2nd isn't far behind that, but it is kind of annoying. I am hoping that those back order dates get pushed up just because, you know, we have been waiting forever for this doll. I paid over $300 for her, so just to find out it's on back order is really annoying, but it is what it is, and I will definitely keep you guys updated on that. Second, oh gosh, the Bratz Mean Girls drop was wild. What a disaster. For those of you who don't know, Bratz is releasing some Mean Girls themed dolls this month, and one is coming out every week. And the first drop was the Lindsay Lohan doll, and that, I mean, I'm not a very big Bratz fan. I don't collect Bratz. I have a few, but it's not something that I'm super obsessed with, but I do love Mean Girls. Just what an iconic movie and just an iconic part of my middle school years. So I decided, I'm going to try for the Lindsay Lohan one. I did, hear rumors, leading up to the release that these were going to be super limited. So I was ready to go. I got up early. I had my breakfast. I got on the website, I got the doll in my cart, and before I could even check out or when I did go to try and check out, it said the doll was sold out, and it seems like that did happen to a lot of people, and I'm just very confused about it. I know limited edition dolls are, very popular, a lot of people do them, but you would think with something like Mean Girls, this is going to be, obviously, a very, very successful run, and I'm shocked that these are not being mass produced. I think MGA is losing out on a ton of money by not doing that. And the doll sold out in like 30 seconds. It was something crazy like that. And I don't know, good luck to anyone trying to get the rest of them. I think just based on the first drop, the next releases are going to be a bloodbath. There are already scalpers putting these dolls up for like $500. It's so ridiculous, but I don't know. Hopefully MGA learned from this. It looks like they won't be restocking any of them, which, again, I just think it's so fucking stupid. But I'm not a big Bratz fan, so, it is what it is. I'm not losing sleep over that. It's not that deep, but I know a lot of people are very disappointed. So good luck to anyone trying to get the rest of them. I hope you at least get one of them, but it does seem like these dolls are going to be very, very hard to get. And if that wasn't enough, it looks like, Monster High released those Hocus Pocus dolls the same day. I think it was like an hour later. And those also sold out really quickly, and a lot of people weren't able to get them, which is just such a bummer. I don't know why companies are doing these low quantities of doll releases. I mean, I don't know. You would think they would want to make as much money as possible, but those also sold out. I saw a lot of people bummed out that they didn't get those. I didn't even try for that. I tried for the Lindsay Lohan doll, and then I just went back to bed, but bummer for that. On the positive note, I saw and bought Ariana Grande Wicked doll. I am definitely like not a musical theater person. I'm not into it, but I've always wanted like a pretty accurate Ariana Grande doll. So I did buy one, and those are starting to hit shelves, and I've seen more and more of them every time I go to Walmart. So that's pretty cool. And I will say the doll is really nice. There's some weird contouring on her face, but it can be easily taken off just with some acetone. But it looks like people are really enjoying those. I do think it looks like her. I think the other characters also look really great. Just as someone who knows nothing about Wicked, these dolls look pretty awesome to me. So I did end up getting one, and I haven't decided how I'm going to customize her yet, but I'm very, very excited to do that. And with new dolls, the only other one that I really wanted to talk about, I know there's definitely more, but this is so random. Do you guys remember in the 90s the bedtime Barbie that literally everyone had? I have her still. It was you could like put ice on her eyes and it would look like her eyes are closed, like she was sleeping, and she had a cloth body. And I mean, I was obsessed with her as a kid, and I know a lot of my friends had her. I was at Walmart and I saw they have like a new plush bedtime Barbie. I don't know if they've been doing this consistently throughout the years. This is the first time I've seen one that's at least called Bedtime Barbie, and I just thought that was pretty interesting. It brought back so many memories, but the new one is not cute. She's way more plush, and I definitely, I'm sorry, I know this is so random, but I did see it at the store the other day, and I was like, huh. That's an interesting take on such an iconic doll, I think. But yeah, didn't pick her up, but I did get out my old bedtime Barbie, and I surprisingly kept her in really good shape. So, and you know, they can never recreate the iconicness of the original, but I did think it was cool to see a new bedtime Barbie in stores. She just unfortunately isn't that great. So, getting into Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon is so iconic. Like I said earlier, this is a doll brand or a doll franchise that people have been asking me to do an episode about pretty much since I started the podcast. And I was so excited when I found Rhett's account because he is a huge fan of Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon is definitely something I was aware of when I was a kid, but did not really get into. And I think Rhett explains it to me in this interview. I think they showed Sailor Moon episodes on TV before I was even home from school, so I never really got to see it. But I did have a little 6-inch Sailor Moon doll, and you'll hear me talking about it in the interview. I couldn't find her before I started talking to Rhett, which was such a bummer because I wanted him to identify her for me, like which one she was. And of course, I did find her about 20 minutes after we finished the interview. But I had one. My friends had tons of Sailor Moon dolls. And she's just so iconic. I think when I think of Sailor Moon, I think about Power Rangers. I think about Ninja Turtles. She was just such a big part of my childhood. And, you know, whether I got into her or not, I was definitely aware of her. She was everywhere. I remember seeing so much Sailor Moon merchandise as a kid. But I'm very excited for this. Please, if you guys are enjoying the show, go leave me 5 stars or a really nice review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps with the algorithms, and I've seen you guys have been doing that a lot more recently, and it has brought in a ton of new listeners. So I would be very, very grateful if you would go ahead and do that. It really helps. As always, please follow me on Instagram, Britney Spears Custom Dolls or Iconic Dollcast. You can follow me on TikTok at Britney Spears Dolls. I also have a YouTube channel that I don't touch. The episodes are just automatically listed on there, so you can look up Iconic Dollcast on YouTube. I think probably in the next few months, I might do some special YouTube episodes just to get the ball rolling on that. But as of right now, I'm not really on there, but the episodes are. So please go check that out. And let's get into my interview with Rhett all about Sailor Moon. Okay, guys, today I have Rhett on the show, and Rhett is a big Sailor Moon fan and collector, and I'm so excited to have him on the show today. I don't know much about Sailor Moon, so today is a great learning experience for me. So, Rhett, thank you so much for being here today. Before we get into Sailor Moon, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. Yeah. My name is Rhett. On the internet, I am a doll collector, doll photographer. I just like to talk about vintage toys from the 90s and 2000s. My niche, of course, is Sailor Moon. But on the other side of my life, I work in anime dubbing and I'm a big anime nerd, kind of, sort of. I have to be an anime nerd. But I'm a writer and I'm a photographer, and I try to kind of blend the two worlds together when I can. But yeah, I'm on the internet, I'm a big Sailor Moon nerd.
And that's amazing. And that's exactly why I was like, I should reach out to him because there's been quite a few people have been like, you got to talk about Sailor Moon. And I'm like, I don't know. And then I found your stuff and I was like, okay, this couldn't be more perfect. And also, I did not know you worked in anime. So that's even more perfect. So I have tons of questions about that. But when did you first get into Sailor Moon?
I was about 10 years old when I got into Sailor Moon, and it was past the time it was on broadcast, actually, in the United States. I found a VHS tape at a Toys R Us when they were kind of moving past VHS tapes and like going straight to DVD at that point. And it was literally on the ground under like one of the shelves. And I pulled it out just because like I was that type of child, like, oh, you dropped something, and I was going to put it back. I was like, where does this go? And I looked at it. I thought it looked really cool and bought it. They didn't even have the tape in their system when they were ringing it up. They were like, we don't know what this is or like what to do with it. So they sold it to us for an arbitrary price. And then, sorry if you're listening to a helicopter going by, LA vibes. But I took it home and I was obsessed with it, and even more obsessed with it because I couldn't find any information about it. Like, it wasn't on television. So I had to do all my sleuthing on the internet. And back then there was a lot of Sailor Moon forums and communities built around it. People that were trying to like bring Sailor Moon back because it had went off the air. We never got the last season in the United States. They never dubbed it into English. So there was like a really big fan base for it, but we were all kind of like hidden somewhere, you know? So that's kind of how I got into it. It was a very, a chance thing. I wasn't like, kind of like you, I wasn't paying attention to it when it was on TV. So yeah, happened later.
Yeah. And so, I mean, was you said you going just back to what you said just a few seconds ago, you said you work in anime and dubbing anime. Is Sailor Moon kind of what got you into that?
You know, probably. I can't say like there was like a very like linear thing. Like I remember this, but probably because Sailor Moon definitely opened my eyes to anime. I didn't know that it was an art form. I didn't know it was a style. But once I found Sailor Moon, then I got interested in all kinds of things that were very similar to it. Cause it's, you know, it's not just the art style, it's also like the stories, and the kind of storytelling that happens in them is very different from other like American cartoons. And that really, you know, drew me in, especially being 10 years old. And I feel like I was going into my tweens and I was reaching an age where I didn't really want to watch like kiddie stuff, but I still wanted to watch cartoons, you know, because I'm still a kid. So I think it was that perfect balance, you know, and it probably did influence me in all the ways, because I don't know when I would have gotten into anime afterwards, you know?
That's very cool. I love that. For me, when I think of Sailor Moon, like I said, I don't know too much about her. I don't know how that happened. I just miss Sailor Moon, but I knew about her and I knew about the show. And when I think about it, I think like 1996, 95, Power Rangers,
Mm-hmm.
Ninja Turtles. And I remember Sailor Moon being on as well. And I knew I had a couple of friends that were really, really into Sailor Moon. And I actually have, and I cannot find her. I tried to find her for today. I have like, and we're going to talk about the dolls, obviously. I have like a little 6-inch figure of Sailor
Nice.
Moon, and I don't know anything about her, and I'm so bummed I couldn't find her because I was going to ask you. But yeah, so that's just what I think about. I know that there was a television show. I knew about the dubbing, which also kind of reminded me of Power Rangers because they took a lot of that
Yeah.
footage from those original Japanese TV shows and they overdubbed it and Americanized it and all this stuff. And
Right.
I found out when I was looking into this that that's how Sailor Moon worked. So I didn't know too much about her, but I did have a little doll, and I know that a lot of my friends had Sailor Moon dolls too. And even to this day, my friend Andrea is like obsessed with Sailor Moon.
That's so cool.
She doesn't collect the dolls or anything, but she's very familiar. She's very excited to listen to this episode.
Oh,
So
yay.
yeah,
Yay.
tell me a little bit about Sailor Moon, the character, and the TV show and how it all worked. Because I tried to get into it before we recorded today, but I was like, this is this is too
It's a
much. Like I am
beast.
not going to get all this information in. So give me a little synopsis of who Sailor Moon is and what the TV show is all about.
Yeah, sure. I'll do my best to keep it as concise as possible. It's a pretty basic, plot line. So this clumsy 14-year-old girl, she's on her way to school when she runs into a black cat. And she's like, this cat is interesting. It has a crescent moon on its forehead. And she goes to school. She's late to school that day. And then this cat follows her home later to tell her that she's this guardian of justice, that she has to like fight evil. And she's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, first of all, why are you even talking to me? You're a cat. She transformed into Sailor Moon, and then this cat is telling her, like, you need to join me and others to find the rest of the Sailor Guardians because we have to look for the Moon Princess. Spoiler alert, the Moon Princess is Sailor Moon, and they're trying to figure that out throughout the course of the first season. So she has to collect all of the Guardians that represent the planets. It's really cute. I think Sailor Moon was it was like the biggest anime of its time in the 90s in Japan. So obviously America saw that and really wanted to like bank on that as well and bring that money over because toy sales were like through the roof in Japan. Are you familiar with like Lika-chan?
I'm not.
She's like Japanese Barbie basically. So she was like the top doll in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And then Sailor Moon came around and like knocked her off. And Sailor Moon was like the top doll in Japan. And so America saw that. America tried to Americanize it. It was very popular in America for a short time. But, you probably didn't get into it because they always had it really early in the mornings when like kids were still asleep, or they would have it right before kids got back from school. So it was always on TV at the worst times. So it kind of went off the air for a few years. People fought for it to come back. They dubbed 2 more seasons, put it on Cartoon Network on the Toonami block, and it was popular. But there was just so much content that was kind of inappropriate for children so that they just didn't continue it. I don't think it was worth it for them. But I think that's one of the reasons why it stands out as a show, because they were really pushing the boundary for like media at its time. There were LGBT characters. There was just all kind like just the storylines were just deep. There was a level of violence to it, but not in like an unnecessary way, but definitely in a way that like TV in the 90s thought like kids shouldn't watch that. But now we watch stuff like that all the time and we don't think about it. So it left a huge impact. It was also amazing to see like a team of girls, fighting evil. And that was kind of a really big thing back then. And it kind of was inspired by Power Rangers for sure. So it was like the female Power Rangers, but magical girl anime. And I think that adds to its charm. But that's the quickest way that I can like summarize what it is and why it's popular and why I'm particularly obsessed with it.
No, that's so interesting. And I definitely remember Sailor Moon as like kind of the first time I ever saw without even knowing like what anime was. And I'm not an anime person, but I definitely respect it. And like when I think about Sailor Moon, I'm like, well, that's like the first anime to me that I ever saw. And also
Same.
like you just said, it was very like it's kind of she's kind of like an action hero, you know what I mean? And
Totally.
I just remember her being like the only like female, I mean, the cast or like the group of girls or the planets. I don't even know what to call them. But
Yeah.
they're all girls. And it was just very like girl power forward, if I remember correctly. And that's probably to me the coolest thing about her.
Exactly. Yeah, couldn't agree more. And even like, your limited knowledge of it, like you understand, like that's exactly why it's resonated with so many people. Even people that aren't that familiar with it, they know what it's about. They get it.
Yeah, and it's just like I said, I don't know how I missed that. I mean, obviously, like you said, like school and whatever. But I mean, as a kid, I can imagine myself eating this up because I was just all about girl power, And so I don't know what was going on, but I'm definitely gonna have to check this show out just a little bit. I should have beforehand, but like I said, it's just like there's so much that I'm like, I can't get this in today. Not gonna happen.
No, I get it. You might be interested, because there was the dub from when we were kids and then they redubbed it to make it more faithful to the Japanese version later on in the 2010s. So the one that if you go on Hulu or Pluto TV, wherever you watch it at, it's a new dub and it's very faithful to the Japanese. But I kind of recommend, if you want that childhood nostalgia, try to go online and see if you can find any of the 90s episodes because the scripts are ridiculous. They're very of its time. They're funny. The voice acting is over the top. They make it very childish, but I think it's super charming. And I think if you just experiment with that a little bit, you'll get a taste of what you missed out on. But if you end up liking it, then all of the series is available in its full uncut form. So there's so many ways to watch it.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to. I generally what happens is like I love these episodes where I'm talking about something that I don't know much about because it's something new for me, you know. And generally what happens when I do an interview like this is like right after we're done, I'm like, all right, I'll dive super deep into it. I'll order some merch and just check it out. And I'm super excited for that. So now Sailor Moon is not a solo character. So she's got a bunch of friends. And I remember that because my friends had a bunch of these little dolls and they were all like, they all kind of looked the same, but they all had different hair colors. And if I'm remembering correct, they're all kind of like planet oriented. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah. They each represent their own planet, and Sailor Moon represents the moon, not Earth. So it's
Okay.
weird.
Very cool. Because, yeah, I just remember looking at them when I was a kid and being like, oh, whoa, like they're all different. And again, I'm seriously mystified by the fact that I did not get more into it. But I had that one. I just don't know how I got her and I don't know where she's at. So let's talk about the dolls because the dolls are a huge part of this. And I talk about it a lot on this show. Like, America really can take a kids' TV series and run with it when it comes to merchandise and dolls. Generally, sometimes dolls come before the TV show in ideas and stuff. And so, tell me a little bit about the dolls. When did they start coming out? Who produced them? Just give me a little background on that.
Totally. So in Japan specifically, because Sailor Moon came out in 1992 there, didn't hit America until 95. So in 92, I don't know the specifics, but I believe it was after the first season aired because it's based off of a manga series, a comic series. So they adapted the book into the TV show. The season was very popular. Then in the second season, they were like, okay, let's make money off of this. So then they started making toys. The very first Sailor Moon doll I do not have. She is more like an action figure. Like her hair is molded. It's not like saran, nylon, whatever doll hair is made out of.
Right.
It's not that kind of stuff. But she's got like fabric clothes. But she's more like an action figure. She's pretty hard to come by in good condition. But then they quickly started making like normal kind of dolls, like fashion dolls with the hair you can style. They come with accessories. They come with bonus outfits and stuff like that. When it hit America several years later, they were thinking like the Japanese toys to them were a little too like childlike and more girly, and they wanted to kind of market it in a way that maybe boys would be interested too. So they created kind of interesting designs for them that made their faces look more or less derpy. If you look them up online, you're like, these dolls are not cute. They have very weird designs. They kind of changed over time. They started to make them look a little bit more normal and more accurate to the anime. But America kind of struggled with how to make the toy palatable or palpable. What's the word? Like,
I get what you're saying. Yep.
They couldn't quite make it, what kids wanted it to be. So I don't know how popular the toys were because I wasn't paying attention to them when they were out. I was a little too young for that. But I know, like you said, like your friends had them and stuff. I know people were buying them, and you can still find them, out of box, in box. And I meet people all the time that have like stories with their dolls that they grew up with. So they were popular. But the American dolls they're a little interesting. They're not very glamorous, but that's kind of, the history of the dolls a little bit.
Interesting. And so, yeah, just based on the very limited research, I did read something about how when they took them over here, they changed them because when you look at mine was only like 6 inches tall. So it was very action figure like. And I think my friend had some bigger ones, but my one friend who had like all of them, they were all little dolls. And it's the Sailor Moon dolls are really what I remember of them. There was a fine line between action figure and doll, and they kind of took that together. And I understand that because, obviously companies who produce these dolls? Do you know?
Everyone in the world. So like,
okay.
Japan, it was Bandai. In America, Bandai did start with it, and then the license moved over to Irwin Toy. I don't know if you're familiar with them. I think they're Canadian based, or they were. I'm not sure. But yeah, America was mostly Bandai and Irwin.
Okay. I remember these dolls not being that attractive, but
Yeah.
I mean, my friends were obsessed with them. And I think because obviously companies are trying to make money, and generally when you have a TV show, the merchandise will be successful. But I noticed when I was reading stuff, they were talking about this specific change, how the original dolls were a little bit more like babyish, like a little more childlike. And then they brought them over here. And I noticed this a lot when they're trying to like market dolls or toys to both boys and girls. Companies tend to focus more on the boy consumer side. So if you look at like Princess Leia action figures, like they're so
Yeah.
manly and they're so not what you would say is like an attractive figure because they I think their goal is like, well, maybe like a boy won't even they can say that this is a boy action figure even though it's Princess Leia or whatever. And so I do definitely remember that. I just think it's so interesting though because like obviously the show is so girl power forward and the character is too, that you'd think that they would have, because like I said with Star Wars it makes sense. Like, Star Wars is marketed mainly towards boys, but then they do have like a certain amount of girl action figures and dolls, and they always look a little bit more masculine. But Sailor Moon to me seems very feminine and very girly, and so it's interesting that they didn't go that route, but I also understand it if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. They just didn't know what to do with girls kind of being in a traditional like male role where they're fighting crime. They didn't know what to do with that. And it's like they can still be feminine and fight crime. And that's kind of what Sailor Moon's trying to prove all the time. So they tried everything they could and they changed the script as much as they could to make it that way. And it's right there in your face what it is. You can change the script, you can sell these dolls, but like at its core, it's still Sailor Moon. So
Right.
they tried what they could do and it wasn't that successful.
It's so interesting. Because yeah, I definitely don't remember any of my boyfriends when I was 5 being like, yeah, Sailor Moon, but
Yeah,
all my
right.
girlfriends were. And so are these, I mean, I'm sure there's been several different iterations of Sailor Moon dolls. Or like, are they hard to find? Let's talk about like the 90s, for instance, or like the ones that maybe my friends had as a kid. And I just like gotta find mine. But are these hard to find? Are they expensive? Tell me more about that.
I don't think they're generally hard to find. They're easy to find online on eBay. But if you go to like doll conventions or thrift stores that have toys, toy conventions, flea markets, I feel like I come by those 6-inch dolls you're referring to. I come by them pretty often. And, they could be in box, they could be out of box, missing shoes and accessories or whatever. But I think they're pretty easy to come by. But it's not like you're going to see a sea of them. You'll just see like a box of dolls and there might be that one Sailor Moon doll in there.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I don't even, I know mine definitely had like rooted hair. She had
Mm-hmm.
real hair, and a costume that was made out of fabric. And I think she had boots.
Uh-huh. Pretty standard. And they're not too expensive either. I mean, I think maybe $30 is the going rate for one of the little ones. And then it
Okay.
just goes up from there depending on which character and the condition it's in.
Okay. And did they always release dolls of all? I mean, because there's what, like 6 or 7 of them of her like friends and stuff.
She's got 10 friends.
Oh, shit.
Plus they made villains. They made villain dolls. They made some of her other friends. They made so many characters into doll form.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I remember the planet thing and I was like, "Oh, she's got
Mhm.
a lot of friends." And so they did that quite a bit. And then also, I assume like with these dolls, there also was like fashions that you could buy and did they have like play sets or anything?
They did. In Japan they had a lot of play sets. They had you could have her work at a pizza place, a sushi place. They had her bedroom. America did a little dollhouse. It was just kind of like you build up cardboard, I think, pretty big for the 6-inch dolls, the little ones. They had her house kind of modeled after the show, which was cool. I don't have it. I would like to have that someday. But they did. They made play sets. They made accessories, fashion packs. They did it all.
I assumed so. And they also, I mean, I think there was tons of other merch you could get too, like notebooks and lunch boxes and backpacks and all that
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
an insane amount that like you can be like me and collecting for years and every day you're seeing something new. And because it was so popular globally, it was licensed in different countries, so different countries had their own merch. Korea had their own, Germany had their own, Spain, Italy, like everybody was making their own unique Sailor Moon merch that was all official and licensed. So it's massive. Like you said, notebooks, backpacks, pens. I have like a little kid's makeup vanity for Sailor Moon over there. There's like all kinds of things. They made all of her weapons and wands and jewelry. They made it all.
I remember my friend had a headband.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I specifically remember the headband, and she probably had a wand too. Uh,
Yeah.
what was the first Sailor Moon doll you ever got?
My first Sailor Moon doll, I can show you her.
Yes.
I pulled a couple based on the questionnaire that you sent me. This is not the exact one that I got. The one that I did get, she's out of box and she's in there, but I just thought this would be a nicer one to show you. This is an Irwin Toy Deluxe Adventure Doll Sailor Moon. She's 11.5 inches. But yeah, this is when Irwin Toy took over and they started making more like Barbie sized dolls. They redesigned the faces to make them more anime accurate. And these dolls to me are just way cuter than the ones that they first came out with, like the little ones. And that's her and some of her friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I found the out of box one at a flea market in 2019.
Wow.
And someone pointed it out to me. They're like, that's a Sailor Moon doll. And at the time I wasn't collecting. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh, I would have wanted this as a kid so bad. And the girl was selling it for $8. And I was like, I'll take it. And I had her on my bookshelf for a long time. And then COVID hit. And, everyone started acting weird in COVID. And I was like, my Sailor Moon doll needs a friend. And then that's it just.
And then she needs a friend. And then
And
she
then
needs
she
a
needs
friend.
a friend.
And then she needs a friend.
And then these dolls in Target look cool. Let me get these dolls too. And then I'm collecting all of the things,
Amazing. How many do you think you have?
of Sailor Moon or
Yeah.
Elval.
Well, let's stick with Sailor Moon, but then I would love to know more about what else you get into.
Yeah, probably Sailor Moon. I probably got like 50.
Oh wow.
It's not like crazy. I try to be tame with it. There might be more than 50. I don't know. I'm gonna guess 50 to 60 Sailor Moon dolls.
Very cool. And like you collect them all, like her friends, all the do you
Yeah.
have a favorite friend? Is there one of her friends that sticks out to you?
That's so tough. Sailor Mars is probably my favorite friend of hers. She's the one, her outfit's red. She's got long black hair. She's kind of, she's a shrine maiden. So her power is kind of like her senses. She's kind of like a psychic in a way. She can sense evil auras and stuff like that. And she can sense something's coming before it's there. She just has this kind of like mystique to her, and she's also a little hot-headed in the show, so she's got a bad temper, and her and Sailor Moon are always butting heads, and it's just cute.
So they all have different like features and stuff, like powers and stuff. That's very cool. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to know. So right now there's I would like to know a lot of things, but I want to get into this real quick. So right now there's a huge nostalgia factor going on. And it seems like literally everything from the 80s and 90s and early 2000s is getting a reboot or a reproduction, re-release, or just, you can go to Target and you can find Cabbage Patch Kids, you can find Care Bears, you can find My Little Pony, what else? Strawberry Shortcake, Rainbow Bright, literally everything, Power
Everything.
Rangers. And so I was like, well, I wonder if like I couldn't find anything right now that's out on Sailor Moon. So have they done any reboots recently and I just missed out on it? Are there any plans that you know of for her to come back? Because it's weird, because you would think I was like, oh, for sure, I bet I could go to Target right now and buy a Sailor Moon doll, but I didn't see anything.
Yeah. So kind of the answer is kind of yes and no. Japan tends to be a little strict with their materials. They are not the most like giving in a way. They did recently have some new Sailor Moon dolls. The anime for Sailor Moon was rebooted in 2014, 2013. They redid it to make it more faithful to the original manga series. So new art style, new everything. And actually the final film to wrap it all off is coming out August 22nd.
Oh.
I guess this will be shown after it's come out.
Yeah.
So when this is out, all of the series will be out now. But they did release some dolls. I'll show you. They're called Style Dolls, and they're made by Bandai. They
Oh,
started these in 2020, 2021, and they didn't make all the characters, and they've kind of stopped doing it. Like the last one to come out was maybe 2022, and we haven't heard any word about if they're going to do more. But at the top, it was for the 25th Sailor Moon anniversary. Now they've passed 30 years now. So I'm like, I don't know if they'll do more. And these weren't like at regular retailers. These were like
okay.
you had to get them at hobby shops. You had to buy them online. There's an official Sailor Moon store in Japan, in Tokyo. You could get them there.
Have you
There's
ever been
an
there? Have you ever been
I
there?
have. I've been
Oh,
twice.
I
I
love
had to.
that.
I had to. I'm such a fan. So their Sailor Moon store has their own merch that you can only get there, which is pretty neat. But yeah, these dolls were a hit when they came out. So I was surprised that we haven't heard anything. But Sailor Moon kind of it's kind of weird. She will be there and then she'll go away for years and you can't get anything Sailor Moon related. And then it ends up coming back. I don't know. Maybe that's how they get you.
Oh, definitely. And I don't know. I was just surprised because, like I said, it seems like when I go to Target, it's got like everything from my childhood in some form. And I just was like surprised not to see that. So I would love to see a great reproduction doll, but maybe they haven't done that yet because those dolls weren't that well received from when I was a kid. But they could update her.
Exactly. I'm thinking that maybe the hindrance is that like Sailor Moon isn't necessarily seen marketable for young children anymore because that's what they wanted it to be then. But now you can only watch like the mature version of Sailor Moon. So I don't know if they want to make a toy line out of it. And they maybe there isn't enough of a buyer base that will get the dolls because I mean, I don't know how many 30 to 40-year olds are collecting dolls. I mean, all of my friends I know are 30 to 40-year olds that collect dolls, but I don't know on from a marketing perspective why they do and don't make them. But I'm just thinking maybe there isn't the buyer base in America, at least for it to make like a proper toy line. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like nowadays, though, more adults are buying toys and dolls than kids are. So I just,
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess that we're gonna see Sailor Moon in Target within the next 5 years at least,
Let's
because,
manifest that.
like, yes, let's manifest it. Because, like, I
Please.
mean, Sailor Moon, like, regardless of the fact that I mean, now I know a little bit more about her, but like, you cannot deny, like, she is an iconic figure of, like I said, the Power Rangers. Like, Sailor Moon was a huge part of that time. And so
Mhm.
I was just very surprised. So I hope they do because I think that would be cool and I would definitely buy it.
I
So
was going to ask, would you buy one if it happened? Yeah.
I would. And I was going to ask you for someone like me, I always like to I spend a lot of money on dolls. So if as someone who, aside from the little mini one that I can't find, if I were to buy a Sailor Moon right after we had our discussion today, what is one that you'd be like, you'll like this one? Like, what would you suggest?
Oh, that is so tough. So let me ask you some questions first
Sure.
so I can make the best guess. So you're a big Barbie collector.
Yep.
What is your favorite era of Barbies? Like which
90s.
decade?
90s.
90s. Okay. I think that you would probably like the Japanese dolls from the 90s. They have the way that their face prints are made, they're just a little bit more glittery, they're a little bit more feminine. They feel very 90s. They have that retro feel. The the American ones, though they were made in the 90s and carried on through the early 2000s, they they have that more actiony toy feel. I don't know if they blend as well with the kind of like feminine nostalgia. I don't know. You can tell me, like, what do you think of this face print if you can see with good light? I don't know
I
if you
think I
can.
think yeah, I can. I think she's cute.
Yeah, she's cute, right? I would say
Yeah.
like if you wanted to collect the American dolls, I would say get this one. I can show you one of the Japanese ones. This is
Sure.
Sailor Mars, but this is what one of the 90s dolls look like from Japan.
Oh, those are cute too.
They're super cute. They just have this little, like, they have softer
She
faces.
looks like a cartoon.
Exactly. So I don't know. I think that they kind of,
I like their boxes too.
oh yeah, the boxes for these are beautiful. I love the black. It's just so sleek and it's beautiful. I think maybe I would guess these, and these just have that charm. The other ones are like I don't know. So many people talk crap on the American dolls. Like so many people will even comment on my stuff like those dolls are hideous. And I'm like, don't just get out of here. I already know that, but I love them.
Okay,
Stop.
let me tell you something. I don't know if you know about my other outside of the Britney Spears custom dolls that I do. Do you know about
I
that?
do, and I love
Oh,
them.
thank you so much. Thank you. I try to keep them separate, the podcast and that, but obviously it bleeds into everything. And I get that doesn't look like her. And I'm like, yes, it fucking does.
It
Like,
does.
get over it.
Yeah, don't listen to the hate. They're lying. They're
I
jealous.
don't. And I love the Britney doll that I use because it is the Britney doll. And by the time this comes out, oh, how do I share this without? I have something really, really special coming about the Britney Spears doll coming out in September, and I have full confirmation that like the doll faces that got picked for it, Britney Spears was like that one. I want that one. And
Oh,
so
I
like
look forward to this.
there's a lot of like lore on the internet like oh she hated her doll and I think she's like made some like little side comments and it's hard because like who would ever be 100% satisfied with something if they make it of you because it's just like kind of weird, you know?
Yeah.
But people are always, not always, but a lot of people get on me for that. I'm like, okay, well, she picked it. So that's
Yeah.
coming soon. So I'm excited, but I totally get that. Just
Ooh.
like the fandoms in these doll communities sometimes get a little bit too picky and you're like, you guys, I wish we could, but we can't have it all. You know what I mean?
Exactly. They're not
Yes.
necessarily making any more, so you might as well like the ones that are out there, you know?
For
So
sure. Oh, I don't see us getting another Britney doll anytime soon. But we should get a Sailor Moon doll. I really
yes,
think that that is necessary. Are there any, do you have a favorite Sailor Moon doll in your collection?
I do. I always tell people that my favorite changes, which is natural, you know, because I'm always getting new stuff. And I'm happy to say on your podcast that what I'm going to say is my favorite is something I've never said is my favorite yet. So I'm
Oh,
giving you a fresh answer that no one else has heard. So Sailor Moon was obviously super popular, as we've been talking about. So popular that in Japan, it had a live action version series that was very similar to Power Rangers. Like it was done the same way. And they've made dolls based on the live action ones. And they're kind of these cute little 6-inch ones. So
oh,
that's
she's
the
cute
live action
too.
one. And then she just has this kind of like big head, little body, but she's just cute. And I think she's unique because the dolls are just like the girls in the show where they don't have anime colored eyes. She actually has brown eyes like the actress in the show, where Sailor Moon usually has blue eyes. So I just think this is cute. I love the box art. I love seeing, you know, the actress on it. I just think it's so cute. And it was hard for me to get it. So once I got it, I was like, oh, I have it. This was like getting a grail, you know? So I'm
That's the
very
best.
thankful.
That is the
That's my
best.
favorite one right now.
I love that. Are there any that you're like, I don't have this one yet, but I will get it someday?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier there's like a pizza delivery set. There's Sailor Moon and she's in like a uniform. She comes with a little like bike where she can deliver pizza. I really want that one because it's kitschy. I love doll food too. So I need my dolls to be eating. I need them to be working. I need them, you know, to have that kind of like that silliness and real worldness to them. So that's kind of one. But they released so many in Japan. And they had dolls in their school uniforms that are hard to come by. They had budget line dolls that had very unique outfits that are extremely hard to come by. I could go on. There's a whole list of dolls that like I dream to have, but don't yet.
It's kind of like Barbie, where it's like, I mean, I think there's probably you could count on your 10 fingers, like people who actually have like every single Barbie. It's just like,
Yes.
sometimes you just have to accept you're never going to have them all, you know?
Yes, and I just got into Barbie collecting too.
Oh, okay.
I was at a doll show a few weeks ago and got my first. I mean, I've had some Barbies in my collection for a couple years, but I finally got some dolls that I've been wanting literally since I was a kid. So now I feel like, okay, I'm a Barbie collector. I'm in the game now. And it's fun because I understand that I will never in my lifetime see every Barbie that's ever been made. So I only want to collect those iconic ones that stand out to me from my childhood. And I'm having fun doing it.
It's very smart, especially with Barbie, to collect intentionally, because otherwise you're just going to end up buying so much shit that you don't actually want. And
Yes.
I struggle with that sometimes. Recently, I've just gotten into like current Barbie, which is something I never ever was into, but some of the new ones are so fucking cute that I'm like, I can't not. But
Yeah.
so I mean, great. I loved learning all about that. That was great on Sailor Moon. But now I want to talk to you about other stuff you collect because I can see behind you that there is other stuff going on. So
There's a lot.
what else? What other dolls do you collect? What other toys do you collect? What do you get into?
So Barbie, as we just said, I think my primary one next to Sailor Moon has always been Bratz. I love Bratz
Okay.
dolls, and I think they kind of have like a little bit of an anime charm to them, so they go really well with all my anime stuff. Bratz is also something that like since COVID they're like so expensive to find. I don't know how familiar you are with
Oh
that.
yeah.
And I'm happy they've been doing a lot of reproductions for them, but during COVID, I was just spending so much on dolls and getting so many dolls. I wasn't intentional, and like you said, and now I'm being very intentional. And I don't want the reproductions because they're too easy to get. I want the ones that were originally released because they have differences. They're not
They
the
do.
same. So Bratz is one of them. I in Probably the first doll line that I got into when I started collecting, when I had my couple Sailor Moon dolls, was LOL OMG.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you can see, I have some like up top there. I have a lot of them, but I don't care about them anymore because it was one of those things where it was what I needed to get into doll collecting. I loved what they were inspired by. I was really like into that. But then, my nieces are like 6 years old. They play with them, and I don't know why, but I'm just kind of like, okay, that's for them. I don't need this, in my life. But so I do have some OMG dolls and Barbie. I love Naturalistas. Do you know those ones?
Oh, of course. Yeah, those are beautiful. I haven't gotten
I
any yet,
love
but I'm
those.
always checking them out. They have the best hair.
They do. The hair is phenomenal, and like each doll looks so unique, and they have their own little stories like on the back of the box. And I'm a sucker for stories, so I'm like, these girls are unique and they're working, and I love them. So I have a few of those, and then I just kind of have some like oddities around. Like I've got a Madeline doll, PJ Sparkles, just like My Little Ponies. I collect ponies. I've got a lot of random stuff. American Girl.
Oh, I love American Girl.
Oh, you do? I didn't know that. Who's your American girl? Like who is
Molly.
your girl? Molly, that's mine.
Mm-hmm. Molly's my favorite.
Yes.
And Josefina. Josefina was my first, but
Yes.
Molly is I have Molly's trunk. I have Molly's bed. I've got
I'm
Molly's
jealous.
raincoat. I've
Yes.
got all her good stuff. Very cool. And I love that. So yeah, a lot of people always assume that I'm just like a Britney doll collector or a Barbie collector, but I get into like, I mean, I'm into everything. There's some, I mean, the LOL dolls, I got the ones, you know how they, like you said, they modeled them very, very clearly after pop stars.
Yes.
I got the little mini Britney one.
Yes, I
you
have
know what I'm
that
talking
one.
about? And then
Yeah, I do.
a lot of people like the one, it was like an airplane. It was definitely like Toxic Britney Spears.
I have that one as well.
Yeah, and so I bought up a bunch of those, like just like to try, and I made a bunch of little Britney dolls out of those, and they all sold. So
Yeah.
I love that. I'm trying to think. I have some Rainbow High, and that's another thing that I was like, I didn't know anything about Rainbow High, and then I did an episode on it, and I was like, I'm gonna go check one of these out. Bought one, then I bought two, then I bought three, then I bought four, and then I was like, okay, we're good here. But those are really cute. I like
Those are
them.
huge. People
Oh,
love
yeah.
those. I haven't gotten into that, but I feel like that's my next frontier because when I talk to other doll collectors, they're like, "Do you have Rainbow High?" And I'm like, "Whoa, no."
Oh gosh, I would definitely say outside of Barbie, like Rainbow High and Monster High are like definitely
Monster
the ones.
High.
Those two episodes in particular that I've done are the ones that have the most views and plays and clicks and all that stuff. People are really into that. Not my favorite thing. I have one Monster High doll, but it's definitely cool to see all the uniqueness that is coming into dolls these days. I really enjoy it.
Yeah,
Got tons
no
of
kidding.
Spice Girls.
Yes, I figured I want some Spice Girls dolls. When I find them, maybe when I just see them at like local spots and stuff, they're just too much money, and I don't want to spend. I feel like they should be cheaper than what other people are offering them for. What's the normal rate for them?
I would say like don't ever pay more than $20 for one, and that's being like that's expensive.
Yeah, See, I want to buy one for like $10, but I only see them for like 40 to 50 when I'm like out in the world.
out in the world is going to be different, but like on eBay and stuff, if you just, I mean, you know, I'm sure you're familiar with all the online markets, but
Yeah.
I mean, you can literally sometimes find a whole set of all five Spice Girls in their boxes, brand new for like $60, sometimes less. So
I'm gonna do it.
just keep your eye on
I'm
that.
gonna do that right after this.
And then just where I live, I don't know. I'm very lucky because I have to go to thrift stores every Saturday because that's how I get all my parts for the Britney dolls.
Mhm.
I mean, Colorado, I guess. I don't know. The thrift stores here are littered with Spice Girls, Mary-Kate and Ashley, Britney. I find Britney all the time, which is very
Nice.
lucky for me. But yeah, don't ever pay like I would never pay more than $20 for a Spice Girl
Thank
doll.
you, because I'm not trying to spend that even that much. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for the validation. How about because you're talking about Britney dolls, I have a struggle finding Britney dolls too. The Oops, I Did It Again Britney.
Which one?
What the one and she's in the red bodysuit. Are there multiple Oops, I Did It Again ones? Oh my
Yeah, so
gosh.
they there's all three of her outfits from that video. They have a
Oh my
doll
gosh.
of.
Okay.
And then of like the cat suit, there's like 4 or 5 different like variations you can get of it. And that
Oh,
one's
see, this is a rabbit hole.
oh, it's wild. It's actually so wild. The Britney Spears doll in particular, I would say has like the most variations out of all dolls
Uh-huh. Why is
because
that? Is there why? Yeah.
because I guess like obviously they were very, very successful, but it was a pretty short run. And towards the end of the run of the dolls, where they knew like Britney was getting too sexy, like her fans are growing up, like they're not going to buy these, they just started throwing shit together. So you can find like so many of them that are just they've got different accessories in the boxes. They just would put certain dolls into different boxes just because they were trying to get rid of product. I would
Wow.
say the Oops, I Did It Again one, the catsuit is like readily available but expensive, $60 to $100 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but fortunately for me, like I already have all of them, and I was pretty good with my Britney dolls as a kid, so I have a lot of them in their boxes. But when I'm buying them up, I just need her head,
Yeah.
literally. So I find a lot of like the used like Oops dolls. That was definitely probably the best selling one besides the Baby One More Time one. But
Right.
if you're wanting to get it in the box, probably looking at that like $60 to $100, and don't ever ever take her out. Don't even touch her weird because the material is so bad.
Oh, the pleather.
Yeah, that they use that like
Yeah.
if it even like gets moved weird, it just starts chipping off. So
I have a few dolls that are like that, and I've made the mistake of unboxing them, and I'm like, I don't want to put them back in the box because that's gonna make more touchy. So I just like leave them, and I'm like, no airflow, nothing. God,
yeah,
that sucks that they made so many toys with that material in the 90s. Like,
I know, and it's especially like the celebrity girls, and like there's a few of the Britney dolls that they use that pleather on, and it's just like, I mean, there are ways to fix it. So, if you just use like a little acrylic paint, like just a
yeah.
little bit, and then like glossy Mod Podge really
Hmm.
helps, and it doesn't harden the outfit, so it still is like
Okay.
you can move it and stuff. But
I'm gonna have to do that to a few of my dolls.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm right now. I'm in this like phase where I am restoring a bunch of my Britney dolls from my childhood,
Oh, nice.
because I was spoiled rotten. I have a lot of them, and I've been restoring those lately, and it's actually been really fun and different than what I'm usually doing. So, that's how I learned about the Mod Podge thing because I was like, how the
Yeah.
hell am I going to fix this? And I didn't want to make like a new top or anything, so
Yeah.
just
I have a
experimenting.
kind of random question now that you're bringing up, these are your childhood dolls. What was it like growing up for you, having dolls and stuff like that? Was your family just, obviously they let you have them. So like, what
Yeah.
was that like for you growing up?
Very easy, and I know that is not the case for everyone, and so it's always like a little bit awkward to talk about. But since you're asking,
Yeah.
I was raised by my grandparents,
Okay.
and my grandma was very, very okay with me having dolls, especially American Girl dolls. I also grew up in Boulder. I don't know if you've ever heard about Boulder, Colorado, but it
I
is like
have.
its own little world.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky to have grown up there. It's a little different now, but I think Boulder was so ahead of its time. Like I brought dolls with me to school every day.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
always had dolls into like my teens and everything. You know, everyone has that moment where they take a little break,
Yeah,
where it's like,
right.
I want CDs, like,
Yes.
you know. But I still was getting my Britney dolls, obviously. But for me, it was very, very easy. What about you? And
That is,
that's actually a great question. Tell me about your journey with dolls. Were you allowed to have them as a kid?
yeah, it was tough for me. My mom wanted to be accepting of it. She wanted to do that. My dad, on the other hand, was not, and it was very much like maybe I would have a couple dolls here and there, and it was a problem even when I did. So I didn't have many. I had so many My Little Ponies though, like that was allowed, maybe because it was horses. I also had two older sisters, so they had dolls, they had Barbies, an American Girl, and stuff like that, and it wasn't a problem. So a lot of the times, when they would slip through, it could be like it would be mine, and my mom or my dad would tell me like, if you have a friend over, don't tell them that's yours. Tell them that's your sister's, kind of stuff. Like I had very set rules. I couldn't bring them to school. I couldn't tell people that I had them. I couldn't tell people I was obsessed with them. Like I couldn't. It was very much like I had to keep it a secret. So it was tough. So anything that I did have growing up, like even my American Girls, I don't have anymore. Like they're gone. And a lot of my ponies that I had too, I was selling when I was in high school because I was like, I don't want these. I was collecting action figures and video games. And I was like, I don't want these. I'm going to make money off of them because I had a lot of the 80s ponies. So I sold all those. And my grandma used to buy them for me too because she worked at a thrift store and she would get all the ponies and she would gift them to me. So it was like the women in my family were understanding. And, of course, the men were very much like, it was not okay. So it was a very conflicting environment, and I didn't like contributing to the conflicting environment. So everything was very secret, kept low. And obviously there's a lot of shame that comes with that because
Oh
they're
yeah.
just toys. And why do I need to feel that way as a kid? I'm just trying to play with a toy, it's not that serious, but it was tough. So I feel like that has inspired me to have my collection. And I still, I'm very proud of it. And I love having my online presence because it, is making up for all that. But also, like, sometimes when I have like people over, it's kind of awkward. They're like, this is
Oh
this is the
yeah.
guest room. This is literally the guest room. So this is where we put people. So like when my in-laws are here and they want to look at it, they're like, oh, interesting. And I'm just like, yeah, you don't have to look at it. It's not that serious. Like, so it's awkward, but I feel like I've let go of that past. I don't have a lot of those feelings anymore. I'm not ashamed of it, but it was definitely tough. And I wish it wasn't, you know, it didn't have to be that way.
No, it didn't. Like I hear this all the time, and that's why I'm always like, oh, I hate like it's so because obviously things have changed a lot, but it is always that I would say more than not like it same situation with other people's, and I'm like, oh well, I was just I was spoiled with dolls, and I
I
think
love
that's just
hearing
because
that though.
yeah, and I think maybe my grandpa wasn't on board with it at first, but like first of all, my grandma is in charge, but he like got into it too. He made me my first doll bed for
Oh,
my American Girl dolls. And
oh.
yeah, my grandpa actually passed away in February and it was like super rough. And I just have so many great memories with my grandma, but also specifically with my Molly doll with my
Mm-hmm.
grandpa because he loved her because he was like, well, this was what I was doing when I was a kid, you
Oh.
know? And also, like, if I like I said, raised by my grandparents. My dad was in and out of my life. He's the worst. But even when he would try to be like, "Well, I'm gonna get you an action figure," I'd be like, "Batgirl," like you can't, or like Princess Leia.
Yeah,
It's just kind of like, well, we can't. There's nothing we can do here. Let's just let's just do what he
yeah.
likes. And that's how my grandma was. Just like, well, he doesn't like it, so like, why? Like, don't waste your money. He's not gonna play with
Yeah,
that kind of thing. So
that's a good grandma right there.
oh, she's the bomb.com. I love
Love
her.
that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's always hard to hear those stories though, because I just feel so I feel so lucky just because it definitely has to do with your environment and where you're growing up and just like in Boulder, like no one gives a shit. Like
Right.
I do remember a couple like parents when I was little, because I had like mostly girlfriends and
Hmm.
like play dates with your girlfriends is like, okay, which Barbie should I bring? You
Yeah.
know? And I definitely remember there being a couple parents that were a little bit iffy about it, but like either those friendships didn't last very long or they eventually got over it. But I fortunately never had to feel like weird about
Yeah.
going on road trips and bringing Barbie into the gas station with me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no kidding. I think the moment I became like conscious, like self-aware was like I brought a My Little Pony on the school bus and I like had it with me and I vividly remember like everyone in the back of the bus like standing up and like calling me names and I remember like cowering down like why are they looking at me? Why are they yelling at me? And like I was like I will never did I say My Little Pony? It was not. It was a Diva Stars doll.
Okay.
I had a Diva Stars doll and I was like playing with her on the top of like the seat of the bus. And they were like, he has a doll and they were like attacking me. And I think that was like the moment. I remember nothing about my life before then. But then that moment was like the moment I became like aware of like me as a person and me being someone else to other people, you know, which is a very not fun way to kind of become part of society. But here we are anyways. But hearing your story, I love hearing that because I talk to a lot of people that collect dolls and I don't hear that story that you have very often. So that is special. And it's like reading a nice little book where like it's all happy. It has
It's
a
a
nice,
happy ending here.
everything's
Yeah.
good. I love that. I love hearing that.
Yeah, and I think there definitely were like a couple boys when I was little who would like try to be like, oh, blah blah blah, and I'd just be like, fuck off, like
Yeah, because you had that
it's
support. Like
Barbie,
that's
bitch.
awesome.
Like what? I don't give a
Exactly.
shit. Like I didn't care, and also I get that. I mean, my grandpa's was definitely more of a shy guy, but my
Hmm.
grandma is just very like, nope. I'll do whatever I want, and I definitely got that from her. And I do remember like a couple times some and in Boulder when you go to school you grow up with your friends like
Uh-huh.
the people I graduated high school with are the people I was in kindergarten with and
Yeah.
I definitely remember a couple times but I mean eventually it's just like bullies if they can't get through to you they eventually give up and I was
Yeah.
very like 6 years old like I don't care like
Yeah.
I just got another Barbie. What did you get, loser?
Yeah. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. I didn't grow up with anybody really. Like my schools always changed, and I was always getting like a mix of new kids in each school I moved to. Like I would know some, or I would know new people. I moved around a couple times, so like it was like every like 2 years of my life, 2 to 3 years, I was with a new group of kids. So it was like relearning people and reintroducing myself. I went from living in Northern California to Atlanta, Georgia, in the deep South. And, so that was a huge change and, very different
Yeah.
people, very different societies, ways of thinking. So it was a lot. I think it made me strong, but it was a rough go, So I always wondered like what it would be like to like grow up with the same people and like I don't know because I guess you've moved from Boulder since then, right?
Yeah, but literally, so like Broomfield is right in between Boulder and Denver. So like
Okay.
I still
Yeah.
see people and um it's very I would say most like the Denver metro area probably all grew up kind of like Boulder. It's very, very liberal and very just like
Cool.
oh, he likes dolls.
I feel like I have driven through Boulder because it stands out to me when you talk about it. I was like, oh yeah, Boulder, Colorado, because I've done like a couple cross country trips when I've moved back and forth from California to Georgia twice. So I feel like I've stopped there because I'm like, why else would I know what Boulder is? Unless was there a shooting there?
A few. There
Okay,
was
maybe
yeah,
that's why I know it. Okay.
which is crazy because it's not like ever
It's
there
not
was a
like that.
it's not like that and John Benet Ramsey got murdered in
Okay,
Boulder
okay, yeah, no. There we
five
go.
streets away from me.
Oh my
Yeah, so
gosh.
scary. It's like that's one of my very first memories and I we used to have a winter cabin up in the mountains and that happened and
Mhm.
my grandma was like we are out of here.
Oh my gosh. That
Yeah.
is so interesting that you
Yeah.
grew up there. Okay,
Yeah.
whoa. Okay, no. So I've been in Colorado. I've stopped there, but I've never stopped in Boulder. I just know about it. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
There's a few.
Okay,
Yeah.
scary, but like you are representing it in such an amazing way. So it makes me want to visit.
Oh, good. I try. It's great. The winters get a little rough. Like, not even just the thing about living in Colorado is like, unless it's summer, like the rest of the year, you like never know what the weather is going to be. So it'll snow like 3 feet, and then the next day be like 78 degrees.
Ew.
It's very like you never know. And I fucking hate snow. Like I hate it.
Uh-huh.
I've lived with it my whole life. I hate driving in it. I hate seeing it. If I never saw it again, I would not be upset. But the summers almost make it worth it. But I'm also
Yeah.
like not, it's a very outdoorsy state. I'm not a
Yeah.
very outdoor person. I truly think the only reason I'm still here is because I cannot leave my grandma. Like I just can't,
Yeah,
And so
no.
maybe one day I'll get out of here because I literally the rest of the year is so just you never know. But it is a really pretty place. And like I said, the people are very laid back. John Benet Ramsey aside.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
It's pretty cool and it's pretty and most people enjoy it. I just have been here my whole life. So I'm kind of like, yeah, it's great.
Right. And
You know what I mean?
you've got your doll family empire, and I fear the day that I have to leave this house that I live in, because I know I won't live here forever, but I'm like, I don't want to move with all this stuff. Like it makes me not want to move at all.
All right. So, Rhett, thank you so much for doing this. That was so much fun. I definitely enjoyed learning about Sailor Moon and just a little bit more about you. This was really great. So, please, again, thank you so much for doing this. Please tell everyone where they can find you on the internet.
Yes, everyone can find me usually with the username Mr_Rhett. Mr is Myster. Don't ask why. Mr_Rhett is my username. On Instagram, it's Rhett Collects. That is just the one discrepancy where it's different. But just you can find me. I'm holding Sailor Moon toys. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. I do the whole thing.
You do them all.
I do them all. Not Facebook though. Do you do Facebook?
No.
I don't know what to do. I don't know how. I don't know who's
I
on
can't.
there.
I literally just do Instagram and TikTok, and then I have Twitter too. But it's all like they all feed into each other because
Yes.
I cannot do that. I cannot
Yes.
keep up with more than one at a time. It's just too much. But thank you so much. This was really great, and we'll keep in touch. And
Thank you.
I'm gonna manifest that Sailor Moon reproduction.
Yes, please. I need the numbers. I need people to send this into the atmosphere.
Absolutely. All right, that was so much fun. Rhett, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm so sorry I didn't have my Sailor Moon doll ready to go when we were talking, but I did find her and she's super cute and I put her up on my little display in my room and she is just as cute as ever and I definitely need to complete the collection because I am a completist and she is lonely. So I'll definitely be doing that. Next week, guys, we are talking about Raggedy Ann. And like I said, I think in the last episode, the next few episodes are a little bit more based on the spookier dolls, I guess you could say. And Raggedy Ann has quite a spooky history that I had no clue about. And it was just really fascinating. I'm talking with Evan, and he is a big Raggedy Ann collector and runs an amazing Raggedy Ann account. So I'm very, very excited to get into that next week. As always, please follow me on Instagram, Britney Spears Custom Dolls or Iconic Dollcast. You can follow me on TikTok at Britney Spears Dolls. And again, if you are enjoying this show, please leave me 5 stars, leave me a nice review. It really helps. Get everything out there. It helps, the algorithms or whatever you want to call them, find all sorts of doll fans to bring into the show. And that's what this is all about. So please do that if you haven't. And I will talk with you guys next time.